You ever looked at a neighbor's roses? I mean, the ones that are just ridiculously beautiful and wonder, what is their secret? Well, today we are pulling back that curtain. We're going to treat rose care not like some kind of mysterious art, but as a totally solvable engineering problem. We have the expert's blueprint, and we're going to walk through it. I mean, it's the ultimate gardener's frustration, isn't it? You plant a rose, you water it, you kind of hope for the best. And what you get are a few, sad-looking flowers. Meanwhile, the bush next door looks like it's ready for a parade. Well, I'm here to tell you the difference isn't luck. It's having a system. Okay, this is it. This is the one idea that changes absolutely everything. I want you to stop thinking of your rose as just some delicate plant. From this moment on, it is a high-performance bloom factory. And you're not just a gardener anymore. You are its new chief engineer. If you can get this mental shift right, everything else just falls into place. So, part one, you can't have a world-class factory with a shoddy setup, right? Production begins with getting the fundamentals, the site, the soil, 100% right. This is the absolute non-negotiable first step. So let's talk engineering specs. Every single factory needs two things just to exist: a solid foundation to build on and a reliable power source to run all the machinery. For our bloom factory, this translates directly to two things: soil and sunlight. Let's start with that power source. The first critical number is 6. Your factory's power comes from the sun, and it requires a bare minimum of 6 hours of direct sun every single day. Anything less than that, and your production line just won't have the juice to operate at full capacity. This one is not negotiable. Okay, now for the foundation. You can't just plop this factory down on any old patch of dirt. The spec sheet requires you to build a really robust foundation. That means mixing organic material into the soil down to a depth of 12 inches. This is what lets the factory's machinery, the roots, anchor in deep and get access to everything they need. And what do we use to build that foundation? We're talking about 2 to 4 inches of really good quality compost, or maybe some aged manure. Think of this as the reinforced concrete for your foundation. It builds this rich, well-drained structure that helps prevent root rot and totally supercharges nutrient uptake. And one last thing for that foundation: ventilation. A stuffy, humid factory is just a breeding ground for all sorts of problems. Good air circulation around that rose bush is basically its HVAC system. It keeps the leaves dry, and it prevents those nasty fungal diseases that can shut down your entire production line. Okay, the factory is built. Now, how do we fuel it? This right here is where most people get it completely wrong. We need to stop thinking about fertilizer as just generic food. From now on, you're going to treat it like a very specific production order that you're sending down to the factory floor. And this highlights the single biggest mistake that gardeners make. Using one of those balanced fertilizers all season long is basically like telling your factory to just keep building the factory walls over and over and over again. You're giving the order for more structure, not for more product. You wind up with a giant, beautiful factory full of leaves, but the assembly line for the blooms, it never even turns on. So the secret is to change the fuel depending on your production goal. You just need to think of NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, as your production levers. So early in the season, you hit it with high nitrogen. That's the command for grow green stuff. That builds your factory structure, all the leaves and stems. But once the factory's built, you change the order. You cut way back on the nitrogen and you boost the phosphorus and potassium. And that's the signal for start making buds and flowers. You are literally shifting production from construction to output. All right, the factory is built. It's fueled up. Now it's time for some active management. Pruning isn't just giving the plant a haircut. No, it's a strategic process. It's quality control, it's resource allocation, and it's retooling that production line for the next big run. First up, deadheading. Now, a lot of us think of this as just cleaning up the bush, right? But it's actually a vital production signal. When a flower fades, the factory's default program is to switch over to making seeds. By snipping that old flower off, you are interrupting that program. You're issuing a new command that says, scrap seed production, divert all energy back to the main assembly line, start a new run of flowers, now. So how do you issue that command correctly? Well, there's a super simple 3-step protocol. First, you find the spent flower. Easy enough. Second, you trace its stem down until you find the very first healthy leaf that has 5 little leaflets on it. And third, you make your cut just above that leaf, and you want to aim it so that the little bud there is pointing away from the center of the plant. And that little outward-facing cut? That is a brilliant piece of engineering because every time you do it, you're training the next stem to grow outwards. So over the course of a season, you're actively sculpting this beautiful, open, vase-shaped structure for the entire bush. And this brings us right back to ventilation, right? It improves the airflow and helps prevent those disease shutdowns. See, it is all connected. Okay, our factory is up and running beautifully. But, any good engineer knows you have to have a security plan. Pests and diseases are a constant threat that can bring your entire production to a grinding halt. So let's talk defense. And the whole mindset here has to be proactive, not reactive. You don't wait for the factory to be on fire to decide to install a sprinkler system. You have to anticipate the threats and have systems in place to stop them before they can cause a full-scale shutdown. And listen, not all threats are created equal. On the one hand, you've got something like black spot. It's a common fungal thing, it's annoying, but it is manageable with a preventative plan. But on the other hand, you have Rose Rosette Disease, and this isn't just a problem, this is a catastrophic, factory-destroying event. I really need to be crystal clear on this point. For Rose Rosette Disease, there is no treatment. There is no cure. The absolute second you confirm that you have it, the only protocol is to dig up the entire plant, roots and all, bag it in plastic, and get it off your property immediately. It is a total loss. So why is that immediate action so incredibly critical? Well, the disease is spread by this tiny little mite, and an infected plant basically becomes a super breeder for these mites. Get this, it can host up to 40 times more mites than a healthy plant. Your plant literally transforms from a beautiful bloom factory into a terrifying mite factory, and it puts every other rose in your entire neighborhood at risk. So the takeaway here is pretty simple. Vigilance is your best and, frankly, your only tool. Understanding the threats, inspecting your plants constantly, and acting decisively, it's the only way to protect your investment and make sure your factory keeps on running. So there you have it, the expert's blueprint. It's a whole integrated system. First, you build a solid foundation with the right location and that engineered soil. Second, you fuel it strategically, changing the nutrient mix to tell it exactly what to produce. And third, you perform proactive maintenance with smart pruning and a really vigilant defense plan. And what all this means is that those spectacular roses you've been admiring for so long, they're not the result of some secret magic potion or just dumb luck. They are the predictable, repeatable output of a well-designed, well-run system. And now you have the blueprint for that exact system. You have the blueprint. You understand the machinery, you know the production schedule. Your rose is not just a plant anymore, it's a high-performance factory, and it's waiting for its orders. So the only question left is, are you ready to be its chief engineer?